It finally happened. Somebody finally broke the curse of the number 33 for the Green Bay Packers. And it's Aaron Jones, everybody. Aaron Jones will be a Green Bay Packer next year. And for the foreseeable future, maybe a little too long with 4 years in the contract extension. But if that's what it took to get him for the next 2 to 3 years, well, okay, no problem. Ben, are you excited?
2 to 3 years? 4 years, buddy. 4 years.
Can he hold up for 4 years? I don't know.
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
Really?
Well,
really?
You want him to use him so much? If they use him so much, is he going to
not use him so much? But
okay.
Why take him off the field when he is a playmaker and like a huge, like important piece of the puzzle?
Agreed.
That's the only thing I'd said is that, hey, let's, use our brain powers here and not take him out of the game in 2-minute situations and not take him out of the game for entire drives, where Jamal Williams is getting 3.2 yards per carry when Aaron Jones averages over 5 yards per carry. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. I'm not like a genius, but I'm pretty close to a genius. It ain't that hard to figure out, though.
You didn't think this was going to happen, though. You said it.
From the day they drafted A.J. Dillon, I didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah.
What? Look at right here. Oh, crap. Right. Right there, baby. This guy, 33. Now I can get my 33 Aaron Jones jersey. Because I didn't want to get it because I was like, he's going to be gone. And I didn't want to jinx it. So I didn't buy it for 2 years now. Because I was like, well, let's wait till. Let me just say this real quick. As a Madden fan and a Madden player, okay? It's been so long because Madden is really, especially lately, it's been a game about running. And if you don't have a speed back or a elusive back of some sort, it is virtually impossible to run. And they still don't give Aaron Jones his due in that game. But the change in playing that game with Aaron Jones on the Packers, as opposed to previous seasons when we did not have an Aaron Jones with that type of skill level in the game, is mind-blowingly different. Like, you can take it to the house. You can get, first downs on the running play on 1st and 10. You can dump it out of the backfield, though they still don't give him good enough stats receiving in this game, by the way, but that's besides the point. But in real life, the guy is everything you could ever want. And I'm and even like I had a little Twitter war a little bit with a guy on Twitter today. And I'm like, and he's like, I'm just sick. I'm sick to my stomach with this signing, is what he said. And his Twitter avatar is the face of Ted Thompson. So what does that tell you? Well, how much does this guy know? Not much.
Why is he sick to his stomach? What?
I don't know.
Explain himself or not?
Apparently, really? No. That's all. Oh. Well, he's okay. First of all, just so you know, I watch Baldy's breakdowns a lot. Well, Baldy had a tweet yesterday, and in this tweet it said, "Hey, he showed 3 plays of Aaron Jones, talked about his elusiveness, talked about his ability to read the hole and hit it hard, and run through the hole, and also break tackles and do crazy stuff, and then also take it to the house." And use speed. He's got agility, speed, quickness. He's got it all. Now, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but we talked about in the offseason. He has the ability to make cuts at full speed. Mm-hmm. Most running backs have to stop and juke and cut. Stop, juke, cut. Aaron Jones runs full speed and cuts. How? We know how he does because he cuts on his inside leg. Yeah, other running backs cut. Right, he does. But other guys cut on the outside leg, which, they plant and then go. And it slows them down. Aaron Jones cuts on his inside leg. Now, that puts a lot of torque on his knee, which could lead to problems, which is what some people are concerned about.
Oh, come on.
But, I just want to debunk that real quick, the injury thing, because that's what this guy was saying. He's like, well, he'll never be a bell cow running back. He can't survive a whole season. And I'm like, I don't need him to be a bell cow running back. And I was talking, this was earlier today. I said, this is way before that I thought Aaron Jones was going to be signed back at the Packers. I thought he was going to somewhere else. And I was like, he doesn't need to carry the ball 25 times a game. You can carry the ball 15 times a game, but then you can pass it to him another 7 times a game and get the ball 22 times a game and freaking, in space. That's something the Packers haven't done this last year enough. They use him in a passing game, but he's like the last resort dump off that Aaron Rodgers throws way too late. Then Aaron Jones gets creamed. And that's what happened in the playoff game when he fumbled. Same crap. So I don't want to hear anything from people about saying his injuries are a problem, because I don't know. Didn't we just give somebody, I don't know, like a left tackle, a big, huge contract, and he got hurt like 2 weeks later, and now he's out for half the freaking year? I don't know. Maybe. Didn't we just have like one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league? And I don't know, like he's missed like 6 games and 7 games the last 2 seasons, and the Packers have won all those games when he was hurt. I don't know. But he makes a lot of money, doesn't he? Oh, yeah, he does. Oh, yeah. And then we have a quarterback who broke his collarbone and freaking broke his leg and missed a bunch of games and all that kind of stuff. And he was hurt. We gave him a bunch of money. I don't understand. If the guy's good and he's a really good guy and he's great for this system, pay him the money. Plus, he deserves the money based on what he's done the last 2 years. I mean, you pay Dave Bakhtiari to be the highest paid left tackle. He's not playing as highest paid as the highest left tackle. He was a couple of years back. So they're paying him based on what he did in the past. Right? They pay Kenny Clark. He's been injured the last 2 years too. But nobody bats an eye about that. But then when it's a running back, everybody's like, oh, Aaron Jones, who hasn't even been hurt that bad. He missed a couple games. He could have played in a couple of those games, but they kept him out because they didn't want to, they had a good lead. They were playing like Houston or some crappy team at the time. I can't remember who it was. So they didn't want to play him, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't want to hear it about the injury crap. Is the guy a great player? Yes. Do we know he's a great player? Yes. That was the other part I said to this guy on Twitter. I was like, all I know is this. 4 years ago, and I said Ted Thompson, because Ted Thompson's face was his avatar, which is crazy. I said Ted Thompson let a different 30, the previous 33, walk because he thought Clinton Dix could play, and couldn't play. He knew he had a good player. He wasn't sure about Clinton Dix, but he kept after 1 year, or let Hyde go because he thought could play. He was wrong. So should we let Aaron Jones go, thinking that maybe A.J. Dillon can play after 1 game of awesomeness? No, I like A.J. Dillon. I think it's going to be awesome. I think those 2 guys together are going to destroy stuff. I think it's way more dynamic than Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. So I'm excited to see A.J. Dillon's carries or his play go higher. And that could use Aaron Jones in a different realm and use him in a different way. And I'm excited about this. And now LaFleur and Hackett need to do what they did in previous seasons. Like against Kansas City, against the Raiders. I got a bunch of clips. Not even an hour ago, you said, Ben, we got to have a bunch of video. We got to have some videos. Well, you should have said that because I got like 15 freaking Aaron Jones clips that we're going to watch because I'm way too pumped up and way too excited because I never thought this was going to happen. And it is the awesomest thing in the world that an awesome guy who's an awesome player finally got paid. Like the world is not evil, everybody. I thought the world was evil. Just screw everybody. No matter what you do, you get screwed. No. Aaron Jones got paid because of his talents and because he's an awesome guy. And he's a perfect Packer and a great, awesome dude. And it's time that to be quite honest, offense needs to go through him, not Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones needs to be the focal point in the offense and not necessarily running. He can do it in the passing game with Aaron Rodgers, but I'm just so sick of people complaining about this because I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, oh, most people are excited though. I would say this. I would say probably 90% of Packer fans are super pumped and super excited about it and know that it's a big deal. So there you go. What do you think?
All right. I got some things to follow up on. One, first off, a quick point is that there are no bell cow running backs that enter the NFL and stay a bell cow running back for more than like 2 years before they fall apart. So don't give me that. Like Saquon Barkley, right? Came in, they used him up, and all of a sudden injury last couple of years. Guy's talented as heck, but they were like, hey, this is our guy that we got to run everything through him. And he's within a year and a half, he started having injury problems. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, right? They hammer, give that guy 400 carries a year. Great. And what did he do? And slow down. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So if people are saying like, oh, he's not going to be a bell cow back, who cares? There are no bell cow backs anymore. It doesn't work. The guys cannot hold up. It's too much of a beating. So you need complement guys. You need a main guy that can do a bunch of stuff, and then a complement guy that's more than just a third down guy. He's kind of like, hey, let's give it like a 2/3 to 1/3, sometimes maybe like a 60-40 split, something like that for carries is good. But then Jones gives you the ability to use them in different ways. And the one thing I thought of too, Swerve Irvin, again, he was this interesting
He's
part
not
of the
coming
offense.
back.
Right. He was this interesting part of the offense, but then he had injuries too. And he's probably not going to be back. Are they thinking they can use Jones in some of those roles, in some of those sets with Dylan as the back, in the main back in the set? And I think they can. He's got the ability. He's got enough speed. He's got enough skills to do it. And you get him in open space, like you said, which is what you want with him. But the one thing that is so overlooked and just has been his whole time, because people talk about it all the time. They're like, he's not that big of a guy. How does he run with that much power? How does he finish his runs forward all the time? I told you he was the best finisher. And I told everybody he's the best run finisher on the team. He's 208 pounds or 10 pounds. AJ Dillon, 250 pounds, but he finishes runs stronger and better than the guy that's 250. He just has an ability to do that. It's partly his lean, it's partly his center of gravity, his balance, all of that, but he finishes runs like you wouldn't expect a guy of his size to, and he's always going forward. He hardly ever takes a big shot. So that also makes you feel better about the signing, because he is really good at avoiding big shots. And that's probably because, like you said, the way he cuts, the way he changes direction is so different. Like defenders aren't used to that. They're used to seeing guys break it down, like you said, and then try to, make an adjustment. And he cuts off kind of the inside leg, which is completely opposite what most guys do. But it works for him. So, hey, there you go. And the other key part, which...
Hang on, you got to let me share a video.
Oh, all right. That's fine. I just wanted to say one other thing, which I've said many times on the show, which is that he is a good fit for the Packers offensive line. He sees
because they don't block that great.
Right. They open a hole for a little bit. He finds a little crease. That's all he needs to be successful. Other guys need a bigger, more sustained hole. He does not. So he makes this offensive line significantly better as run blockers. That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, you can keep talking, and I can just show you play the video underneath us talking, because
that's fine too.
There's like 5 million Aaron Jones highlights. We'll just keep talking.
Load them up,
and I'll just keep playing highlights. I mean, okay, I'm still this. You're still
hang on.
disabled.
Sorry, I forgot to do that. We jumped down here. Here you go. Here you are.
All right. So I'm just going to combat the things you were talking about just now, right? Not you. What you were trying to combat, people saying he's not tough, saying how he doesn't run through things and all that kind of stuff. Watch this play here. This is Aaron Jones' toughness, breaking tackles, doing crazy stuff. Look at him. Bounce off, get his head ripped off. Still stays up. Most running backs get their heads ripped off. They're coming out of the game. Not this guy. This guy's amazing. Speed, quickness, jukes, moves, break tackle. Look at that. Nobody else does that crap on the Pack.
That is one thing I'll say that happened way too much this past season, where people going after his head and no calls on that. Like that needs to be something the Packers submit to the league in this offseason and say, look, there are guys, I don't know if guys are targeting him because they want to try to get him out of the game because they know how important he is, or if it's just inadvertent or whatever. But the case is, he got face mask, he got guys ripping at his helmet, he had all this sort of headshots, and not a single flag on every one of those this season. There was probably like 8-9 occurrences like that throughout the season. That's way too much. And that's a way guys can be injured, and not just injured for a week, injured for the rest of the season. Maybe it could take out their career. So come on, pay a little more attention to that. And the officials and the NFL should be on high alert.
All right. Now we got a guy. We got John Moe.
John Moe is in the house. What's up? I was
He's not happy with the Aaron Jones extension. Listen, man, we got to convince you.
Boo.
We got to convince you about this. Okay. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, don't sign a running back. Don't sign a running back. And you're saying he cost us a touchdown. I'm going to tell you something about that play real quick. That ball should have been thrown 2 seconds earlier, or at least 1 second earlier. But Rodgers held the ball too damn long. By the time he finally threw it, the safety knew exactly where it was going. Jones caught it, was thrown a little bit behind him. By the time he turned around, that safety, who's a good player, smacked him, and the ball was go. So I'm not blaming Rodgers completely. I mean, Jones fumbled, and he got hurt on the play. But part of the reason was Aaron Rodgers. I'm just telling you. He doesn't anticipate sometimes when things need to be done, like Phillip Rivers did. But really, Phillip Rivers had to because he's got a noodle arm. So that's the difference. I mean, on that particular play you're talking about. But
let me follow up on that. Those things happen. Is this a reoccurring issue with Jones that he's a fumbler? Has it? No, he protects the ball well. Okay. He's very good at securing the ball, but also being dynamic, because some of those guys that secure the ball, they tend to kind of run with two hands over it, and then they're really not trying to make moves and whatever. So he secures the ball well while still keeping himself at maximum ability to make a big play. And stuff like that just sometimes happens. So yeah, you gotta, look, it was just a bad break, dude. It just happened. Okay. But think about all the big plays, and Ben's probably going to show you some of them, but think about all those key runs. And that was a bunch of the games this past season, they were either tightening up or they were tight. And then what was the play that kind of separated the Packers out? It was a big Aaron Jones run in the second half. That happened quite a few times this year.
Yeah. I'm not blaming Rodgers completely.
And you shouldn't.
He's trying to look at the other stuff. John Moll saying I blame him, and he's saying Rodgers is the only reason they made the playoffs. No, he's not the only reason they made the playoffs.
No, their offense is the reason they made the playoffs. Their offense as a unit. And Rodgers,
I'll say this.
Rodgers is a big part of that. He
had a great game against Tampa Bay, even though they lost, because his offensive line did not help him out at all. Rodgers did amazing things in that game. Rodgers is great. We need him too. If we think we want to go back to the Super Bowl, again here 11 years later, for this coming up season, we need all the guys. And I heard, apparently Zadarius Smith is restructuring is on the docket here, from what I hear. Also, Aaron Jones' cap hit for this season is only $3.25 million. So even though he did sign a $48 million deal for 4 years, which is averaging of 12 million a year or whatever, this season's cap hit is only 3.25. So now they're back a little bit over the cap, but there's ways like if they restructure Zadarius, they'll get under the cap by Wednesday. But that still leaves the big elephant in the room of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams contract extensions and, really lowering the cap to help out. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's just the way it's going to be. So I'm going to do this. This is another play just to show how tough Aaron Jones is, because everybody's talking about how he gets hurt and he's not tough and he doesn't run hard and blah, blah, blah. He's a finesse back. No, he's not. Watch this play against the Bears. It's freaking awesome. Break a tackle, gets his head ripped off. Nope, breaks through that, runs through four more dudes. Look at that. Look at that. We haven't had a running back like this ever. Not in my lifetime. Not a guy who runs like this. He's just exciting to watch. It's exciting to watch this guy with the ball in his hand. He just makes guys miss. He's got a lot of yards after broken tackles. Not only that, here's a stat I found out today. Aaron Jones is the only Packer player with 2 games of over 225 total yards in Packer history. No other Packer player, receiver, running back, anything, has ever had 2 games of more than 225 total yards from scrimmage in a game. Think about that. Think of all the Packers we've had, all the players that were great players we've had, from Don Hudson all the way to Devontae Adams and anywhere in between. Aaron Jones, only guy who's ever done that.
Look, man, let's see what he says. Look at the less than Super Bowls. Champions, what they had in common. They all had mid-level exception running backs. You don't spend big on a running back. You spend on a corner or tackle. I disagree with that too. I'm sorry, man. I get that. But look, here's the thing. I'm gonna give you some names. This is a good to just kind of go off of John Moll's point here and kind of show you the reason why this signing is really important, but also significant, because the Packers have had so many. I'm gonna do a little screen share too, because I might as well pull it up for you all to look at it. There's lots of them here. I just did a search, right? Let's look at the Packers drafted running backs. Running backs the Packers drafted over the years. Here's a whole mess of them. Brent Fullwood, Donnie Anderson, this guy, John Brockington. Oh, he was good, right? We got that. Eddie Lee Ivory, Daryl Thompson. Just some names you may recognize. Keith Woodside, if you're old enough, you get it. Eddie Lacy, one contract. Now I got A.J. Dillon. Brandon Jackson. LaShawn Johnson. Junior Coffey. I don't remember him. That was 1971. Edgar Bennett. Okay, he had a second contract with the Pack. Fine. Vince Workman. I'm trying to see. It's any names jumping out at you as a big-time guy, an impact guy from the running back spot, a guy that can help the offense. I don't see any of them. And we're through the running backs, guys. Okay? Devontae Mays. There are only a couple, and James Starks is one of them. There are only a couple of running backs in this whole group from 60s through now that the Packers have drafted that even got a second contract with the team. That shows the Packers have not been very good at evaluating running back talent in the draft. And it also shows that's part of the reason that the offense sucks so bad in the 80s, in the 90s until they got going a little bit more. And then until they got a really good quarterback, then the offense was better, right? So you need to alleviate, in today's NFL, you need to alleviate some of the pressure on your quarterback because we've seen what it looks like when you just pass all the time and you can't run. We've had those teams. Against certain defenses, okay, it works great. But against the really good defenses in the playoffs, it doesn't work as well. Remember when the Packers ran into the 49ers in the playoffs in the early 2000s? They couldn't do jack squat on offense, right? And it wasn't because all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers wasn't any good. It was because they had no balance. They couldn't run the ball. And the team just said, all right, we're just going to play pass defense all the time. And we know you guys don't have a threat in the run game. That's why the last two postseasons have been better, because they have an established run game. And this season was much better because it was a second year under LaFleur. Everybody was better in it. And, Williams picked up his game as well this year. So we give him credit for that. All right, Continue on.
Well, I'm just going to say this. John Moe, I like you, man. You're newer for leaving comments and stuff, and I get it. You're not happy with Aaron Jones. You're comparing him to Dalvin Cook, saying Dalvin Cook's a way better player. I don't think he is. I live in Minnesota. I have to watch Dalvin Cook. He gets a lot of big, giant holes. I'm just going to tell you that right now. The Vikings do a lot of double team blocking, which the Packers don't do. The Packers do stupid zone blocking, and their offensive linemen don't know how to block zone blocking half the time. And Aaron Jones has got to squeeze through tiny little holes and make something happen. Like on this play from 2019 against the Vikings. Not only that, let's go back in time. Let's think of all the Packers running backs and how many big runs they had during their careers. Okay. And I'm going to show you, and I'm not talking like 20-yard runs. I'm talking 50, 40, 70-yard runs. Just in the last 2 years, I'm going to show you at least 5 Aaron Jones plays that break the bank. More big, huge plays than Devontae Adams has had his entire career. Okay. Just a heads up about my feelings on Devontae Adams and his contract and what they should do with him. But here you go. Here's Aaron Jones last year against the Vikings in a game where he fumbled earlier and was told by Anthony Barr to get off the field because the lights are too bright. And then he went out and he did this and shut him up. Let's watch what he does to shut up Anthony Barr. Look at that. And then he's like, he can't catch that guy on the turf. Did Dave Bakhtiari hold a little bit? Maybe. But Mo's not here to complain about that right now. So we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. Look at that. Nice block by MVS on the outside, too. And look at MVS cruising down there. With his hand up, he knows. MVS knows. My block sealed.
Kumro's even in the shot. I guess we even got one for
Kumro's in there.
Hey.
Kumro's in there. and here's the other thing. Okay, so now John Moe is like, hey, A.J. Dillon may be better than Aaron Jones if he gets a chance. You're right. He might be better. And
I doubt
well,
it.
I don't know about he's better. He might be he's a totally different player.
Right.
And I think having both of them makes this team so much more dynamic. You're going to see a huge difference with AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones as opposed to Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. Jamal Williams was a guy. He's a good guy, but he's just a guy. Aaron Jones is a game breaker, and AJ Dillon can be a game breaker, especially when they cloud up the box and he sneaks through and gets to the second level, because corners and defensive backs want no business with that guy.
Hey, I got something to follow up. We got a comment here. Jamo says, and I understand the NFL is different. NFL is different, right? But he says what I'm talking about now is old news. Basically, it's irrelevant. It's 2021, and he thinks a second explosive receiver would have had a bigger impact. They
can still get that in the draft.
Here's the reality, though, right? And he's also talking about if the Packers had somehow gotten DeAndre Hopkins instead of drafting Jordan Love, or even traded a first-round pick or whatever to make that happen.
DeAndre Hopkins?
Look,
how much money does DeAndre Hopkins want, Jace?
A lot. But then anyway. But the point is,
$25 million a year is what that guy is making.
I know. But the point, I'm just going to lay this out though. Look, if you look at, yes, dynamic quarterbacks, dynamic offenses, Jamo, we've had those, man. We've had those. Look at 2011. The Packers offense was unstoppable, right? Until they weren't. They were super dynamic. And then they met a bad matchup against the Giants with a good 4-man pass rush against, an okay offensive line, but not a great offensive line that couldn't handle it. They got a bunch of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. They had a few miscues, and the best team in the league was stomped out of the playoffs just like that, right? If you have a running attack as well, it just bodes well for you in your chances in the postseason. Because if a team wants to tactically try to take away your pass game, then you just say, okay, we're going to run it. And you have that ability with this guy. And the other part that's different, again, this is what makes Aaron Jones different. It was just what Ben said. The number of explosive runs, okay? He gives you, from a guy that you hand the ball off to in the backfield, an opportunity to have a guy that would take it 50, 60, 70 yards. And that is a dramatic difference from any other offense that the Packers have had in a long time, because those big plays would only come from Aaron Rodgers' right arm. Now you can do that just by handing it off to this dude. AJ Dillon's not going to do that. He's not going to give you that. I hope he's good. I hope he becomes a really good back, but he's not going to ever be a breakaway, bust the seam, juke a safety, and take it to the house kind of guy. Aaron Jones is. He's proven to be. He's shown it the last 2 years. He showed it actually the first couple of years too.
Yeah, he did. And here's this playoff run against the Rams where he's breaking tackles, juking dudes, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Another Aaron Jones big play when we needed it. The start of the second half, Aaron Jones takes the ball.
Look at how that safety was turned
jump starts the offense. He did that 3 or 4 times this season. He jump-started the offense when they needed it, when they were looking like dog doo-doos in the second quarter.
Watch how, because of the way he cuts, that safety gets totally turned around. And it's because, like you said, full speed. He's going, and that guy was like, and a normal guy would have broken down and got caught by that backer coming from the offside. But because Jones doesn't have to slow down when he changes direction, it looks different than all these other flashy guys, but it's so effective.
What people need to realize is that Aaron Jones, because people are saying, we need another number one receiver. Okay, think about this. Aaron Jones gave us more big, huge plays than Devontae Adams has, or these last 2 seasons, than Devontae Adams has his entire career. Okay, and he's half the price of what a top-notch receiver would be. DeAndre Hopkins wants 20. He's making $25 million a year. Aaron Jones touches the ball more, touches the ball twice as much, makes just as much yards on the ground, and is half the price. I don't understand. He makes the offense go. If you have a guy who's that good, half the price, twice the benefit, it makes perfect sense. Is he more susceptible to injury? Yes, because he gets the ball more in tough spots. but it's a handoff, not a pass. It's not, there's no chance. Like MVS had a bunch of huge plays this year, but it was 50-50 whether he was going to catch him. Where Aaron Jones, if he starts to get a breakaway, he's gone because he got the handoff and broke away. It was awesome. I just want people to think about that sort of thing. Like, it's not like, and as far as AJ Dillon goes, I like AJ Dillon. I'm so excited about this backfield. I have never been, Jason, you know, I am a running back guy.
Yeah, I know.
I love me some running backs. So to think the fact that we might have,
and the NFL has shifted some. Like I understand, John, what we're talking about 2021, but the NFL the last couple of years has shifted a little more towards the teams that are having success also incorporate the run game and sometimes lean on it. Look, Tom Brady didn't have to light it up to get to the Super Bowl this year. He leaned on Leonard Fournette in the playoffs a lot, including in the Super Bowl, right? And yeah, their defense was dynamic, but the Packers aren't going to have that dynamic defense. And this is the other reason. Okay, I'm laying my point out for myself. This is the other reason why it's so important for the Packers to have such a dynamic offense that can't be slowed down, whether a team wants to gang up against the pass or the run, is because they don't have, and they're not good. Don't think they have the players to pull off some awesome dominant defense. They still don't, even with the defensive coordinator change. I hope they're better. I hope they can make plays when they need to, but they're never going to be the defense that you can lean on. So the Packers offense has to be able to be efficient, has to be able to control the ball when they want to, has to be able to be big play when they want to. And the best way for them to do that is to have Aaron Jones on the team and be a major contributor to the offense, because he can let you do that through the run. And if they incorporate him in the pass game more, you can do that way too.
let's take a look at the blocking on this play real quick. Let's take a look at the blocking. What happens on this play exactly? On a 3rd and 1, you got Elton Jenkins right here, who I think is playing center at this point.
Yep.
He goes to double team here, and he's supposed to try to get to this linebacker. Well, he doesn't get there. Okay. Billy Turner is playing right guard. And most running backs would take this ball, go where they're supposed to go, or they would go this way, and the linebacker would get over there, or whatever the case is. But Aaron Jones sets him up. This isn't just Aaron Jones, being dumb. This is Aaron Jones going up the gut and then gone. When the blocking wasn't perfect. Look at that. Jenkins totally whiffed. Any other running back the Packers have would be dead, and they're dead right there. That'd be and look at Billy Turner. His guy is, what kind of blocking is that? Don't tell me this offensive line is good. They're great, whatever. There's things that are good about it, but run blocking is not what they're good at. Aaron Jones makes this play. There's 2 guys in his face, but his agility, his ability to see the hole and squeeze through the hole are what make him special and what make him worth the money, because he does this. Now, he doesn't have super speed. He can get caught from behind from an athletic, fast secondary. Yes. He's a 4.5 runner, not a 4.4 or 4.3 running back. There's no doubt. But if you could average 5 yards a carry, you give him the ball every time, you're scoring every time, honestly.
Up until tonight, and Jamo, I get it. Fumbles bug the crap out of me too. Like I hate it when guys turn the ball over, and fumbles are one of the worst. And whatever, but sometimes they can't be helped. Not making excuses, but they do happen. Everybody fumbles. I'm gonna say that. Except apparently Jamal Williams this last year didn't fumble at all, but whatever.
Jamal Williams is pretty dang good at that. Yes.
He's great at protecting the ball, no doubt.
Yes, he was awesome. And I like Jamal Williams. And I'll miss him, but there's no way they're bringing him back, obviously, at this point.
But up until tonight, I thought Jamo was actually mom. I thought it was mom saying Jane mom. And because once we saw a couple comments, but not many for a while. So I thought it was mom up until today. And mom wouldn't be saying all this stuff. Not just because of that, but also because mom wouldn't comment that much. But I appreciate your passion. You should not be upset about the signing because Aaron Jones is a dynamic player. The Packers need dynamic players to win. They don't have enough dynamic players on defense. They need dynamic players on offense. And you're looking at it, Jamo, like you'd want more dynamic receivers. Well, who says the Packers can't find a way to incorporate Aaron Jones more in the pass game like they did in the Kansas City game in 2019?
Just hang on, I got that coming.
Right. And get
I got video of that too.
Get some of that from him, right? I mean, it's not about the position necessarily. It's about, do you have dynamic players that you can put in positions to make a big play? And Aaron Jones, you can do different things with him, and he can be that kind of guy. Okay, so I just want to temper Jamo. Like, hey, I get it. I get the NFC Championship game was probably one of his worst games.
It wasn't probably. It was his worst. It was terrible.
Okay, and that sucks. But we had plenty of other guys that played like crap that game. Okay.
Yeah.
Including both of our tackles, including some other guys. Aaron Rodgers was amazing with how much he covered up for the offensive line in that game.
He covered up a lot in that game.
Yeah. Because it shouldn't even have been close. Like normal quarterbacks would have been sacked 8 times in that game. The Packers would have been losing by 30. But anyway, just wanted to recognize that fact. He's a chess piece you can use a lot of different ways, and you got to hope that Matt LaFleur and Nathaniel Hackett are creative enough to find ways now to use him. Go on, Ben.
Yeah, and John Moe, I agree with you. He is most vulnerable to get hurt. He is. He's a running back. Those guys get hammered all the time. You're right. Would it be great to have a top-notch defense? Yes, it would be great. But all of our money is into certain players that they have to hang on to and keep now, who aren't that good. And you can't just cut them all and get new guys that are all great. It's not going to happen. So luckily, they've been restructuring guys left and right this last couple of days. Billy Turner got restructured. Adrian Amos, Preston Smith. So apparently, Zadarius Smith is getting restructured as we speak. So all these things are happening. And they're doing it to bring a team together that can maybe do something. And hopefully, they will address cornerback, defensive line, and offensive tackle and wide receiver this year in the draft, which of course they didn't do any of that last year. Okay. And would it be great to get a dynamic, crazy inside linebacker? Yes. But I don't think that's what we really, really need at this point to go over the top and have this team with success. What we need in the draft is a corner, an outside linebacker, probably a speed receiver, another receiver, or some kind of agility receiver and return man would be perfect. And then also, what else did I say? Oh, corner. Really bad corner because we're in trouble there. But here's Aaron Jones. Keep talking. I'm just showing Aaron Jones big 70-some yard run.
But I'm just going to make a quick point. Who knows what MVS does this offseason? If he can get his consistency down with his hands, he could be a really dynamic receiver. He was great in the NFC Championship game. So maybe the Packers are leaning on that and saying, look, if MVS makes that next step, and now we got that speed guy, and he's more reliable as just a general receiver who can run the whole route tree, and then we got Devontae, and we're putting Aaron Jones in there. We feel like we got explosiveness. We got some opportunities. And, of course, we got one of the most experienced, best quarterbacks of all time. Like, let's go for it. Let's do it. Light him up.
Yeah.
So maybe they're thinking about that. Maybe they just think, man, if MVS keeps working hard and has that confidence going, and I think for him, it is a lot of that. When his confidence is up, he seems to make every play. When he drops a ball, then he gets down on himself, and then he doesn't seem to rebound from it sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, that's
human nature, though.
MVS we said it before the season started. Right. He was the secret weapon. He was the key piece of the offense that we needed to have work. And when it worked, the offense was unstoppable because he took the top off the defense. It opened up holes for Aaron Jones and the running backs. It gave Devontae Adams a little bit more room to work. It opened up spot for Tunyon. All those spots opened up because MVS could take the top off the freaking defense. But if he's dropping balls, the defense isn't as worried about it. And then they kind of clog it up a little bit, and they take away the quick passes, and they play man, just like Tampa Bay did in that first game in week 5, where they just looked terrible, and they couldn't do anything against them because they weren't afraid of them. They bumped them. They held them. They did all kinds of stuff, and they did it again in the NFC Championship game and they didn't get called for it, and we got screwed. But this is I'm just put this together. This is all the touchdowns of Aaron Jones in the 4-touchdown game against Dallas 2 years ago, just to show, because most of the plays I got are all huge long runs. This just lets you remember that, hey, you know what? He makes a lot of maybe 2-yard runs turn into 5-yard runs, and he makes a lot of 3-yard runs turn into 12-yard runs, and he makes a touchdown that shouldn't be a touchdown, all that kind of stuff. So just remember that about Aaron Jones. He does things that people don't realize sometimes. Like right there, right up the gut. There's 3 guys who could have tackled him. He just keeps moving forward and makes guys miss.
Watch his quick cut off of this. A lot of guys would have plowed into that left side and not really gotten much out of it, but he makes a quick cut decision. Oh, right there. And then another cut back the other way.
And it's all full speed cuts.
Right.
Nobody else does that. Nobody else moves like him.
That's true. He does it by leaning his body and his weight transfer. It's really, it's different. It looks different, but it works.
And it works really well out of shotgun. Which is why, I would like to see more A.J. Dillon on I formation and keep Aaron Jones in shotgun like this, but then have him move a little bit. Or remember when they put both those guys in the backfield and Jones would move in motion and would take the linebacker with them? Now that's one where he just put his head down and ran forward. Sometimes that's what you got to do to score. This next one is the one where he did the wave, the 10K wave. And I didn't realize that there's nowhere for him to go. And he just bounces it out super speed to the outside. When you watch it back now, it's like, oh boy, nope, forget it. And he beats a corner who went and got paid in free agency right after this season, by the way. Went and got paid by Miami, big money. So he beat that guy from the other side of the field. He had to run backwards 2 yards to go forward 5 yards for the touchdown. Because he's got speed, quickness, elusiveness. And he's got time to wave and, get a penalty or get the fine or whatever it was. But hey, he's from Texas. He can do that kind of thing. I just want to think, you need to think Aaron Jones is 4 years, $48 million for an offensive weapon. Don't think of him as a running back. He's not a typical running back. He's an offensive weapon. And here's another one. He plows through, extends the arms, touchdown. He extends the arm from the 2.5-yard line. And he's a little tiny guy. But he knows where he is. He understands what's in front of him. He actually ran through 2 guys there. Got hit twice, extended the ball, scored a touchdown. And there's many, many videos of that I could show, but I just showed the 4 touchdowns he had in that one game. He's an amazing player and a great, great, great guy.
Jamo makes a good point.
Okay, let's hear it.
He says, doesn't matter who the running back is. If our defense isn't better, we're not going to get to another Super Bowl. And yeah,
he's right.
True.
He's right.
That's true.
He's right. But I don't know. Sometimes you have to you got to believe in what you have and what you know. Listen, if anything has proven me about the Smith brothers is that we got really pumped when they signed them. They had a good year the first year. And then the second year, Preston disappeared, Zadarius slacked off. And Billy Turner was, And those are all guys that we brought in from the outside. So a lot of times people are like, well, let's bring in Curtis Samuel. Let's bring in all these receivers. Let's bring in some other guys. We brought in Christian Kirksey. These are guys we don't know what they do. We haven't been watching their careers this whole time. We don't know what they're like in the building. We don't know what they're like as players, how smart they are, what their abilities are, especially in this system. Aaron Jones, we know what his abilities are in this system. We know what he can bring to the team, and he deserves to be brought back and paid because of his abilities and what he can add. And you're right. You said earlier it was safe, John Moe. It is safe, but it's not safe like safe. Here's a guy we signed him back because it's not like Nick Perry's safe.
Oh boy,
we signed him back because we need a guy to play and he can get maybe 3 sacks a year. No, this is a game-breaking player who might get hurt. Yes, Dave Bakhtiari got hurt. Devontae Adams got hurt. Kenny Clark got hurt. Every guy they've signed the last 3 years to big money has gotten hurt. So if you're going to use that as somebody's not you, but if anybody's going to use that as an excuse, hey, guess what?
Yeah, I mean, David Bakhtiari got hurt at practice. I mean, it could happen at any point.
Yeah.
That's part of the gig, but you got to put your faith in some guys, you know? So hopefully, look, the defense, we're hoping they're going to again, this is another reason why I think this is important. And it really does go back to, I want, because I don't trust or believe in the Packers defense. Even if they say, oh, you got to believe in our defense, I'm not going to. I want the Packers offense to be in control. I want the Packers offense to be able to control the ball by running it if they want to, short pass game, still be explosive, have the complete package. And they can do that. They have the ability to do that now, continue to do that, and maybe even better than they have the last 2 seasons. But where that's going to come in most crucially is the playoffs or bad weather. Let's say the Packers are the number 1 seed again. Do you think it's going to be 30 degrees in Lambeau Field in late January again, like it was this time around? Hell no. When does that happen? Once every 20 years? Tampa Bay got lucky as crap this year that those were the weather conditions in the NFC Championship game. If it was normal Green Bay January weather, that game would have been completely different, and you would have needed your running game. So don't forget about that. The Packers play where they play. And late in the season and playoff time, and if they get home playoff games again, which I actually prefer that they would be on the road, because I think then their speed and their dynamics and Aaron Rodgers can throw the ball better. I let them go to domes and play. I don't care. But all the Packer fans are like, we need a home playoff game. Great. Then you get the weather that comes with it. And most of the time that weather sucks for throwing the ball. So you need to have a good running game. This guy gives you that.
And A.J. Dillon does too. The two of them together are awesome. And John Moe is saying they haven't made a power move in 8 years. I beg to differ. Signing 2 outside linebackers, a safety, and a offensive tackle in one offseason is a giant power move. Matter of fact, it was a huge cap-hitting power move.
Mm-hmm.
When you have Zadarius Smith, who's the 3rd highest paid outside linebacker / defensive end pass rusher in the league, that's a power move. It hasn't worked quite as well as we'd like, as we showed on Friday night when Bruce was on, when we talked about the Zadarius Smith issues. But they made a power move, and now they're paying for that power move. They also are paying for terrible drafts by Ted Thompson over the last 3 or 4 years that he was a GM, where no first-round picks were any good. No, hardly any second, third-round picks were any good. Yeah, he got lucky with Bakhtiari, and he got lucky with Aaron Jones one time. 2 times he got lucky. Otherwise, terrible. Kenny Clark is good. He's not great. He's not worth the contract they gave him. So because of terrible drafts, they were forced to sign those 4 guys, which was a power move. And now they're paying for that price of a power move of all 4 of those guys. And they're forced now to build through the draft again, like they had in the past. And the biggest issue is going to be, what are they going to do with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams contracts? Because there's plenty of room to restructure there and send the cap down the road. But that's meaning you're going to lean into those 2 players as key pieces for the next 3-4 years. Are they willing to do that? Because they haven't done it yet. And I'm very interested to see what that is. But I don't want to turn that into this right now. I want to turn this into Aaron freaking Jones. They're supposed to be happy about Aaron Jones. And now I'm going to show some plays that Jason was talking about. We need to realize Aaron Jones is not just a running back. He is a playmaker. And in 2019, the Packers used him as a playmaker. But in 2020, for some unknown reason, they didn't use him as a playmaker anymore. They didn't try to get him the ball in space. They didn't try to get him the ball downfield in the passing game. All of it was dump-offs. It was stupid dump-off plays all the time. And he got creamed because Rodgers would hold the ball too long and then dump it off to him. But it wasn't Rodgers' fault. There was nowhere to go. But Jones was used as a safety valve instead of a key piece in the passing game. And that needs to change this year. And here's the reason why. Watch the adjustment. Sorry, Rick, this is against the Raiders. Watch the adjustment on this ball. Look at him. He's right here. Oh, my God. Look at that. MVS couldn't do that. Lazard couldn't do that. He'd trip over his own feet. There's only 2 guys on the Packers that could do that play. Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones are the only 2 guys who could make that play. Period. Look at him. Watch this from this angle. Look at that. That's not a running back. That is an offensive weapon. Offensive weapon.
Not to mention, he is a hard worker. He's a humble guy. He's a guy that's been doubted his whole life, right? Because he is smaller, because he's not the fastest. He had to go to freaking UTEP for crying out loud. He grew up in Texas and he had to go to UTEP. That was his college that he got into. Like, people have been doubting this guy his whole life. Don't underestimate that too. That drives people to stay hungry and give their maximum effort. And as we've said before, give me guys that give maximum effort. I want those guys over other guys.
Yep. And it's one thing you could say, Aaron Jones never gives up. Aaron Jones helps blocking. He's great at picking up the blitz. He also is the first guy to celebrate with a guy when he scores, whether it's him or somebody else. He's a team player. LaFleur has said that repeatedly over the last year. He's like, Aaron Jones is the kind of guy I want on the team. He loves Aaron Jones.
Jamo, don't get us wrong here. We're just celebrating some awesome plays from a guy who just got a contract. We're not trying to say that he does this stuff all the time, but we're saying, look at the stuff he can do and has done. And we're going to enjoy that because he's a great Packer. He's an important part of the offense and he deserves the contract and the money.
How about this screen pass to save the game against Detroit and make sure they had a playoff bye? Or no, they didn't have a playoff bye, but they had a home field. They had a whole game that year. And the reason why I have to go back 2 years to play these passes, John Mo, is because the Packers didn't utilize this guy in these games. It was dumb. I don't know why.
There was a lot of those plays went to Jamal Williams this past year, you know.
Yes.
Times where they did some good running back pass patterns, and it was actually Jamal Williams getting it. I was like, well, okay. I mean, he did fine, so whatever. But
look how many tackle. Okay, first of all, none of the offensive linemen blocked properly on this play. Aaron Rodgers has to hang on to it as long as he possibly can, and then oh god, and then he throws it sidearm, which is a great pass. And Jones makes guys miss and gets them into field goal range to win the game in the last second. And I don't know if you remember, but Aaron Rodgers had a terrible game that game. I'm not trying to blame Aaron Rodgers on this. I'm just saying Aaron Jones saved it. Aaron Jones saved that game. But the Packers didn't use him like this last year. So I couldn't show you plays like this from last year. Even though he made that play himself. Nobody blocked for him on that play. Nobody. He's just too special to let go. And I'm too excited. I'm sorry. I thought for sure he would not be back. I thought for sure he would just be, they would let him go and they'd be like, nope, we're not going to sign, because they would never, it's just not something that you would think the Packers would do, is sign a running back to a contract in their second contract. And I get it, because a lot of people say it's dumb. But all I can say is this: Dalvin Cook looked pretty dang good this past year when they re-signed him. Alvin Kamara dominated when they re-signed him. What's his face? Henry dominated when they re-signed him. For every Ezekiel Elliott, there's those three guys. So, I mean, Joe Mixon didn't do that bad with the Bengals. He got a contract extension too.
I mean, I get it too. There's all this talk all the time. Running backs are replaceable and all this sort of stuff, right? And I get it. And everybody will talk about those things in the draft and whatever, and how running backs have such short careers, they're replaceable, the wear and tear. I understand that's the trend for such a long time. But as I illustrated earlier, the Packers are not very good at evaluating running back talent and finding one of those guys very often. So I'll maybe stick with the guy that you know is good in this case. I'm fine with that.
Aaron Jones never save a game. I just showed you him saving the Detroit game. How about this Kansas City game from 2019? How about the Detroit game when they were losing by 2 touchdowns? And then at the start of the second half, Aaron Jones takes it all the way, which I showed you that play.
I think John Mo's
he's just trying to get me mad or something. I don't know what's going on.
2020. Or maybe it's just he wants to see a dominant performance in the playoffs, and maybe that's what it is. But you know what? These dominant performances also help the Packers get to the playoffs. So, come on. Football,
Aaron Jones had
only 16 games. All games are important.
Especially when you do this. Now, he should have stepped out of bounds here like a ding-dong. That hurt my fantasy football team. I was super pissed. But it's a great freaking play. That was a catch downfield. That's not a running back catch. That's a weapon catch. And that's the difference. And it's obvious that John Moe and I are not going to agree, and that's fine. I mean, hey, everybody's a Packer fan. They like their own guy. I don't agree with my brother on a lot of stuff too. That's fine.
Yeah, you don't.
But I'm telling you right now, I've never been more happy in my life than to see this guy still be in a Packer uniform for another 4 years. Because he is a game breaker.
I just wish
when you need to play.
I wish
did he save this game with this play? I think he did. Oh, look at that screen cap. Why did he have a
different number? I wish he had to have a different number. That's all.
33 is my favorite number.
I know, but I wish he would have had to take a different number because they kept the old 33 too.
Have you ever seen Vontae Adams or MVS or any other player at a wide receiver screen take it to the house like that? No, because they don't know how to run in space. They don't know how to avoid guys. They don't know how to juke guys. This guy does. It's not his fault they didn't use him last year like this. They should have, and they need to moving forward if they're going to pay him big money. Let's use him for his talents. That's what I want.
Well, and the other part you said, Ben, is, and that he's actually talked about this too. Like if you ever go watch some of the, recaps or some of the Packer videos or whatever, when he's been a guest on, maybe after the week after a game, he'll talk about why, or like how he had to set up. He's like, oh, so I knew when I saw this or whatever, that all I had to do was set up that safety. And so as he's running where it looks like, okay, he's breaking through a hole and he's just running upfield, he's actually thinking about how to set up that guy so he can make him miss. Whereas other people would just be like, oh, I see an opening, I'm going to run over there and run as fast as I can. Jones is actually trying to figure out how he can set up that guy to make him miss so he can get past him and then take it the rest of the way. It's different, and not everybody can do that, and that's fine. I mean, Al Lazard's not going to do that. Devontae might try to do that. Devontae's maybe a little closer, but MVS, Al Lazard, most of the other offensive players who are going to have the ball in their hands aren't thinking like that when they're running with the ball. They're just like, run as fast as I can. Oh, there's an open space. Let me see about that. Or maybe if I move this way or whatever. But most of them aren't thinking like that when they're running with the ball.
This is my last Aaron Jones video I'm going to play. This is the greatest Aaron Jones play of all time. And after the game, all anybody talked about was the fact that Dave Bakhtiari ran really fast, which makes no damn sense because Bakhtiari did nothing on this play. That's all I talked about. Look at Dave Bakhtiari running so fast. No, how about watch Aaron Jones break 17 tackles, juke 3 guys out of their shorts, and freaking MVS help block downfield while the other guys just ran around like idiots. Aaron Jones' greatest play as a Packer right here. Break a tackle. Stiff arm that guy. Watch this jump back right here. Right? What? MV. Ooh, nice block, MVS. MVS got the seal block for a touchdown. And what does that tell you? It takes more than one guy to win. But it does take a special guy like this to make huge, awesome plays. And I am so happy he's back. I am so happy he's here to stay. And yeah, Dave Bakhtiari runs really fast for outside or offensive tackle. That's great. But he didn't block a dang person there. What is he doing? I don't even know what he's doing.
He's getting his cardio. He's getting his cardio in.
He ran really fast. That's awesome.
Oh, man.
No, I got you, John. Well, man, hey.
And you had to hit
I agree with a lot of stuff he says, but as a Packer fan, man, I'm just so happy to, I can't think of a guy who's this dynamic. It's just fun to watch Aaron Jones play. It's fun to watch him juke and weave and break tackles and do crazy stuff. And, it's just, we haven't had a guy like that here for years. Ahman Green was the last guy who could do this kind of stuff. And he wasn't quite the same guy. He wasn't as cool and as nice and as respectful as Aaron Jones.
That's the other part. Aaron Jones isn't getting into trouble. He's not partying and doing all this stuff. He's not getting arrested for, things like, I don't know why the Cowboys always have dudes that get arrested, but they do. But, he's not like that, okay? Mixon, there's been plenty of other young backs got themselves into trouble in the first couple of years in the league. The guy doesn't, come on. He's a good dude. What more do you want, right? As a representative of the Packers who's also got an incredible ability to help the team win as an offensive weapon and a running back. Versatility, runs with power, runs with speed, runs with agility, can do stuff that nobody else in this team can do. And no one that they've had in that type of role could do since Ahman Green.
And I think Aaron Jones is better than Ahman Green. I'm just saying it.
Well, if the next couple of years will cement that or not.
Listen, they need to use him like they did against Kansas City. That's the other thing. That Kansas City games, yeah, Patrick Mahomes did play. John Mo said that earlier. It's true. But you know who else didn't play in that game? Devontae Adams. They had nobody. They had to go to Aaron Jones. And the Chiefs knew they had to go to Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones still got over 225 yards of total offense. And that's just okay. We need more guys rested on our team. Whoa. Okay, we do need. I don't know about that. We need more guys who are goal-getters. We talked about that a couple weeks back too on a video. About we need more. I want to see more guys who maybe might elbow you in the gut and kind of be cheap. Like that one guy, Evan Dietrich Smith, who untied Dominican Sue's shoes against the Lions and got him super mad.
That's a good idea.
That's a great. It's kind of cheap, but hey. Dave Bakhtiari holds a little bit. That's okay. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. I'm fine with that. The bottom line is, listen, $12 million a year for a playmaking guy who's drafted in the 5th round. It's a great story, and it just warms my heart. And I can't say anything else. I'm just so happy. The only thing that would have made this better is if, for some unknown reason, we could have brought back Corey Linsley, but I don't think that's even remotely in the cards because we still got to somehow find room for Tunyon to get on this roster. Yeah. He's going to be at least $3 million for a 1-year contract, and they're going to figure out how to extend him. Lazard probably needs to come back, but I don't know because with Funches, you kind of have the same body type as Lazard. And he doesn't
have the same hands though. It worries me.
Lazard dropped some passes too.
I know, but he's pretty darn reliable, and he's another one of those guys that's, I don't want to get into him right now too much, but he's another one of those guys that's hungry, was disrespected, was undervalued, overlooked repeatedly, and that means something. There's a reason why a bunch of these guys that are undrafted that the Packers give a chance to, and guys that are low round picks that the Packers give a chance to end up succeeding, and not just succeeding, but being either starters or important players. And part of it is that drive. Part of it is that, hey, I got people to prove wrong, and don't underestimate what that can do for somebody. It does. It can take guys that would be equal to somebody else, and it gets them ahead of other guys that are similar. So I do appreciate John Mo's comment saying, hey, this is just healthy argument. No attention. Love the channel. Yeah, thank you very much. Good. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments too. Look, man, just be happy. Aaron Jones is a good dude. He's going to be a contributor, and he's going to be a contributor for a number more years. And we hope that everything, hope that health wise, he can stay with it. And if he does what he's been doing, it only helps the Packers offense. And again, big thing to me is I want the Packers offense to be so efficient and dynamic that the defense isn't as much a part of the game. Like, we don't have to rely on the defense. That's the control the Packers can have. Because
the bottom line is
they drafted defense forever, right? Like, defense, draft and sign defense and everything. And it still hasn't really been much better. So it's clear that the Packers can't get that figured out. So let's just make what they do really well. Let's make it as complete and solid and unstoppable as it can be, and hope that's enough. That's what I'm going for here.
Yeah. And I am emotional because I didn't think this day would happen. I thought they'd let him go. And I was okay with it. I've been okay with it. I thought ever since he got Rosenhaus as his agent, I thought, okay, that's it. It's done. Mm-hmm. He's going for the money. That's what I thought. And I didn't blame him at all. And I was excited for A.J. Dillon. I thought A.J. Dillon would be great. I think he will still be great. But I think what A.J. Dillon will be able to bring for Aaron Jones is the Packers will be able to use him in multiple ways that they didn't use him in last year. And it could make the offense that much more dynamic and that much more exciting. When it comes to the defense, I don't think there's much else they can do at this point other than they got to get a corner and they got to get help on the D line at some point in the draft. And hope that something works because they don't have it now. And the other thing we got to do is this. We know it. We see it. I don't know if John Moe feels this way, but you, me, Bruce, a bunch of guys, we know that Ty Summers needs to be in the game. We know that Josh Jackson is in the last year of his contract and he can tackle better than most of the corners we have. Does he grab? Yes. But Kevin King grabs. He proved it in the NFC Championship game. So what's the difference between playing Kevin King or giving Josh Jackson a chance this year on his last year of his rookie deal? That could make a big, I mean, he's got to play, like you said it the other day, Jace, he's got to play like to a top-notch player or he's gone. His career's over.
Right. He's playing
Give
for
Josh
his career
Jackson that
year.
chance. And I mean, with the first round, what I want you to do, John Moe, is to, I understand your concerns, but open your mind to the fact or to the possibilities of this offense being great. Let's wait and see what they do with the draft. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Goody, but I do have a little more than I did in Ted Thompson. And Jair Alexander
Well, will they
has
Ben,
proven that he's a good player.
This
Sean
is what the
Gary's a
Packers
good
have to do.
player.
Ben, this is what the Packers have
Yeah.
to do though. This season, hey Bernard, how you doing? We're just about wrapping
All
up.
right.
Video will be up. But one thing that I think will be crucial for the Packers then to do this year in the draft is abandon the best player available and draft for your freaking need. Get players that can help fill starting spots on your team. Please don't give me some prospect guy who's not going to see the field or be inactive all season. Come on. Draft for the holes you have. You need to do that. You have to. You don't have the cap space to fill them with free agency. So freaking give me some guys in the draft. And I don't care if you're enamored by some receiver. Well, not receiver, but some player that you have at a position where you're stacked or you have solidified already. If there's somebody else that's close at a position that you need, you draft that guy. That's what you have to do this year. Come on. Come on.
If they don't draft a wide receiver, offensive tackle, corner, or defensive tackle, somewhere that a combination of two of those at the first two picks, something's wrong. Those are their holes. And if they don't draft some combination of those two out of those four positions in the first two rounds, Goody needs to be gone because this is enough. Last year, the Jordan Love crap just screwed us over. We could have had a offensive lineman who's ready to come in right now when Bakhtiari's going to miss probably 10 games because of his injury. Or we could have had a receiver, a game breaker, or some type of like a Randall Cobb type guy, a jitterbug type dude. Didn't get that. We could have had a number of defensive tackles who could have helped. Didn't take any of those guys. We took a quarterback who sat around for a year and did nothing. And
we took
that's a huge miss.
And we took a running back who didn't play.
Now, and that's the other problem. The other problem is coaching. Like, who's making these decisions? Why is Ty Summers not in the game? Why is Josh Jackson not in the game? Why is Kingsley Keke not getting more time?
Jamo put a comment on that about Jackson, too. He said he should have started in the NFC Championship. He didn't think he was bad. We thought so, too. I mean, when he played last year, he looked pretty damn good. I was like, hey, he's playing. He's looking pretty good. And then Kevin King came back, and all of a sudden he's back in there. Why? I don't know. Because that other guy was doing a good job. Let him stay.
You know who else was great? Was Ty Summers. Go back and watch the Ty Summers video that we did. When was I don't know what week that was. But I showed all Ty Summers plays where he kicked butt. And for some reason, he never in the game. He made more plays in 3 games than Christian Kirksey made all year. Why is he not in the game? It blows my mind. And then when they like the same thing with St. Brown. Why is St. Brown in the game?
Right.
When Malik Taylor showed us that, or whatever, maybe Turner, Taylor, I can't remember.
Taylor, he was reliable. Yeah.
He was reliable. Rodgers trusted him on 4th and 2 that one time, caught it and got freaking like 12 yards. He was good. Every time he had a ball thrown to him, he caught it. Whenever he was supposed to block on a play, he blocked and did a great job. So why was he in there before over St. Brown?
Yeah, why would St. Brown came back, all of a sudden St. Brown's in there.
Yeah, why?
He's got iffy hands.
All the year before. Like, did they know he was good? No, he didn't practice with them, play with them the whole year, 2019. Here's a guy who played with you for 7-8 weeks already with Malik Taylor, and then you just sit him on the bench and bring stupid St. Brown in, and then he drops the balls all over the place. Come on. The coaching needs to play the right guys too. And that's the same thing with like Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. You think it would have been better to have Aaron Jones in the 2-minute offense than Jamal Williams? I think so. You think it would have been better to have maybe, Aaron Jones come out for a couple plays and then, have maybe Jamal Williams comes in on first and second down and then you bring Aaron Jones in on third down just to make the defense worry a little bit? But they didn't do that either. They just kept Jamal Williams in for entire drives and then punt. Keep him in for a drive, punt. Really?
Hey, John Mo says Ty Summers is a baller, so he gets that one. So
Ty Summers is awesome. Yeah, I'm telling you,
board,
John Mo, I think you and I, Hafeman Brothers and you are on the same wavelength. Just I understand your concerns. You're like, don't pay running back. And let me ask you a question, John Mo, in the comments. Are you the guy, also a guy who says, follows the other Packer rule which is don't pay inside linebackers, don't go for a dynamic inside linebacker, poo-poo on the inside linebacker? Do you believe in that too? Because if anything proved that wrong is this season. Where Devin White proved, if you have a fast inside linebacker, doesn't matter. And you said something earlier in the comments. You said Aaron Jones disappeared against fast inside linebackers. No, Aaron Jones didn't disappear. The offensive line couldn't get to the second level and block him fast enough. The offensive line didn't get to the spots they're supposed to get to. He got beat to the hole. That offensive lineman had to move 2 inches, and the linebacker had to run 5 yards. They got there before the offensive lineman got there to block him. That's not Aaron Jones' fault. I mean, if nobody's blocking anybody and he's getting creamed in the backfield, he can only break so many tackles in the backfield. And speed does kill. And Devin White proved it. And Ty Summers has got speed. We want to see him in the game.
Yeah, you just want difference makers, right? You want guys that can, if they have abilities, whether they're a little raw or whether they're a little bit, I don't know, because what did they say about Ty Summers? Because he didn't have a lot of experience as a linebacker, which is fair, but the guy's got speed and he's instinctive and he's good in coverage. And I mean, he makes plays. So give me guys that make plays. I mean, come on. I don't care where he was drafted. I don't care this or that, whatever. If the guy makes plays, put him in the game, right? Isn't that what it's about? Aaron Jones, he makes plays. I'm glad.
Well, we had to wait for 2 years for Aaron Jones to get in the game, even though every time he was in there, he made plays with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy wouldn't play him. And then finally, when LaFleur got here, he's like, holy crap, I can't keep this guy off the field. And then for some reason last year, they take him out. He was in the field less than he was in 2019.
Right. It's weird.
Doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's almost like they were trying to hold his price down, which maybe they were. But
it seemed everything leading up to this seemed like this was not going to happen, including the move to draft AJ Dillon last year. It just seemed like, okay, the Packers are going to move on. They're not going to pay a running back second contract. So whatever Aaron Jones does this year, it didn't matter. So that's why it's so surprising, because it really seemed like the direction they were going was this was not going to be possible. And then it happens. So then it goes back to kind of what we were talking about a little Friday is the Packers, do they really have a plan, or are they keep like wishy-washy and back and forth on stuff?
Here's what I think happened. I think Goody had a plan.
Go with this.
Hey, I think Goody had a plan that he wasn't going to sign back a running back because that's the way Packers do it. And then LaFleur's like, I need Aaron Jones for this offense. So find a way to get it done. So I think LaFleur is the one who got him in here. You know what I'm saying?
Hopefully the Packers coaches have a little bit more influence over some of those decisions. And hopefully they also have recognition. Certain guys need to be on the field because, like you said, with Jackson in his last season, with Summers, there are opportunities for the defense to be better if they put the right guys in the field without even signing anybody else or whoever they draft. They have guys currently on the roster that could make this defense better than it was last year if they just put them on the field. That's it.
And they don't have to be a game-breaking defense.
No.
If the offense can score points. Now, I have one more question before I know we've been going for a long time. This is the thing that I've been worried about. And I think people are really going to be mad because if John Mo's fired up a little bit now about the signing of a running back, what happens if they don't extend Devontae? And their idea is they're going to move on from Devontae and either trade him now, trade him during the middle of the season before, week 8 when they can't trade him after that, or just let him walk because they can't afford to pay him big money because they won't have cap space with him anymore. How are fans going to react to that? Losing Davante Adams possibly because we paid Aaron Jones, because that's kind of the big difference here.
Well, you can't put all that on Aaron Jones, though.
I know.
They paid Bakhtiari, they paid Kenny Clark, they paid. Okay,
but here's the thing: they got to pay Jair because he's good. Because corner is way harder to find than a wide receiver or running back or anything.
Especially for the Packers, yeah.
Yes.
Because they have shown corner, whiff. Yeah.
So my question is to Eckes, to Bruce, to John Moe, to Bernard, what do you guys think? Would you be like, if for some reason this signing of Aaron Jones means Davante Adams is not a Packer anymore after this season, do you think that's worth it? I'm sure you're all going to say no. I think it is, because I think Rodgers is better when Davante's not on the field, and that's just me. And I think Robert Tonyan needs to get more targets because he catches everything. So if you have Tonyan, Jones, Dillon, MVS, and then maybe they draft a guy this year at receiver.
I was going to say that if they're looking seriously at Davante being gone, they need to make a high pick on a receiver this year. They need to draft a dynamic receiver this year. Because they don't really have one otherwise. I mean, they got some guys that can do some things, but not a dynamic guy.
Right. And John Moe saying something about Richard Sherman. I actually like Richard Sherman, and I don't like him. Like, I don't think he's a great player, as great a player as he used to be, but he is the type of leader that we need on this team, just like John Moe was saying. And I agree with that 100%. But the only way they can have money to sign him is if they extend Rodgers and extend Davante and lower that cap hit for this season. That's the only way they're going to be able to get to him on this team, or any type of like a veteran presence. Because as much as Richard Sherman is deteriorated in skills, he's still going to want some money. He's a well-known player with a well-known, clout about him that, it's going to demand some sort of a decent paycheck. And he's probably going to be a 1 year for hire type guy. So the only way that's happening is if they extend Aaron Rodgers and Davante, and then that's going to push the Jordan Love thing further down and make that Jordan Love pick even worse.
Yeah,
so I think it's confusing and weird, but
I think there's some veteran corners out there that would be interesting if they're free. I can't remember if Josh Norman's free again or a free agent again, but he's kind of one of those guys. Patrick Peterson, right? Yeah.
So there's a lot of corners.
I'm thinking of cheaper guys, but
yeah.
Like Norman's one of those guys that I think still can play. And he's always been a huge fan of Rodgers too, so they would have good chemistry there and rapport. He's a leader kind of guy. I think he still can play, and he wouldn't be as expensive as like Peterson or Sherman or whatever. I mean, Peterson's by far the most talented. Like, heck yeah. I mean, if you could get that guy some way, great. But again, I told you, and I mentioned, I would rather have my money and my investment in guys in the middle of the field that can be in on more plays than a corner who's, covering one guy and usually on the outside and not in on as many tackles.
Yeah, but there's nobody out there that's like that.
I know.
They can't get a free agent who can play inside linebacker with speed. It's just not going to happen. They could have drafted Patrick Peterson last year instead of Jordan Love, which is what we all thought they were going to do when they traded up.
Queen, yeah.
Patrick Queen, yeah. But they didn't, and they were stupid. We were all, the excitement for that pick was almost as excited as I was today when Aaron Jones got re-signed. So, and then they went and tanked it all the way down the tubes by drafting Jordan Love.
And now they're back up again with Aaron Jones.
So. Oh yeah, they are. Well, we still got Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Billy Turner. Are they going to play Ty Summers? Are they going to play Kingsley Kiki? Are they going to play Josh Jackson? Are they going to figure out what to do on the offensive line? I don't know. What are they going to do with extending Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers, who are really good players, and they can be good for 2 or 3 more years? But it seems to me, since they haven't done it yet, that they want to move on to the Jordan Love era and let those 2 guys walk after this year and or trade them, which will get him more picks and lead to maybe success down the line, but it's going to not be successful now. I mean, these are all things we're going to have to see as Packer fans. What's going to happen? The Aaron Rodgers and the Davante Adams extensions either happen or don't happen is going to leave a huge mark on this team and this franchise for the next 5 years. It's either going to be 3 years of success with really good players, or it's going to be 3 years of rebuilding, or maybe not rebuilding, but the total shift of the offense is going to go from passing to running, because you just signed Aaron Jones. You've got AJ Dillon, second round running back. You got Tonyan as tight end. it might look more like the 49ers offense and less like the Aaron Rodgers throw it all over the place offense that we've had for the last 11 years. And are Packer fans ready for that change? I don't know. I am. I like that sort of offense, but I understand how a lot of people are like, hey, we got a great MVP quarterback. What are you talking about, Ben? I know. I'm crazy.
Hey,
and I'd be fine either way. But what I'm saying is we need to find out. And whether there's extensions coming or whether or not, we will find out as Packer fans. And there's going to be a divide within the Packer fans. And it's probably going to be a whole lot more mad if there's no extensions than there are if they are extended. If they are extended, they're probably going to be like 80% of Packer fans are going to be like, all right, sweet, let's go for it now. We got a window of the next 2-3 years. We got Aaron Jones. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got Devontae Adams. We got all these guys. Let's go for it. I don't know.
Bernard's throwing some stuff in there. Bernard, you're trying to stir it up again. He's saying he thinks Rodgers is going to retire next month. I hope not.
if they don't restructure and extend him, and if they don't extend Devontae, just wait. I'm telling you.
Well, then let's talk about that more
Jeopardy.
Friday.
He goes on Jeopardy, and then he's like, "I'm the man." And then Jeopardy offers him a crap ton of money to be Jeopardy host for 30 years for the next 30 years. He's engaged to his Hollywood chick. He lives in California where it's nice out. It still makes a crap ton of money for the next 30 years as the host of Jeopardy. Doesn't have to get hit anymore and deal with all this crap with the freaking cap and all this garbage. He might just be like, "Screw you guys," and then Packer fans are going to go nuts.
If that happens, Aaron Jones is really going to earn his money the next couple of years. Think about that. Okay, we can talk more about that stuff on Friday night. We'll be back. This is an Emergency Hafeman Bros because
be happy, everybody. Come
celebration of Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Staying a Packer and breaking the curse of the 33.
Hey, you know what? Every guy here.
Too many good 33s go away.
Look at all these guys on this picture here. How many times? These were the stars from last season. At this point, every single one of these guys is a Green Bay Packer in the 2021 season. Think about that. It's not very often that every one of your stars from every year is back the very next year. But every single one of these guys is back next year. Now, some of them don't perform as well as they should, but others are awesome. This trifecta, this triangle right here. Aaron to Jair. That triangle of awesomeness is what the Packers need to build around to get to the Super Bowl in the next 2 years. Those three guys. And probably Robert Tonyan, because I think he's going to be awesome.
And Mason Crosby too, by the way.
Mason Crosby's okay. Come on. Just because mom likes him doesn't mean you have to like him. He's not that great.
Plus he wears
in Madden, he sucks.
Plus he wears the number 2. Plus he wears the number 2.
Yeah, a 2 is a poop. That's taking a poop, Jace.
That's
sorry.
Why we get, by the way, that's why we got on late today, because Ben was doing that.
Hey, don't tell everybody that. You don't have to tell everybody that.
Hey, you texted to me. So that's
because you're bugging me. You're like, are we going to go on or what? Are we going to go on or what? And I'm like, I'm taking a dump. Can you let me finish wiping my butt here?
All right. Oh, man. All right. You guys stay well. Take care. I got to go watch a movie with my kids.
Thanks for all the comments, Jumbo. We appreciate it. Yep. Thanks, Jace, for coming on. Hey, are you impressed with how many videos I made in like half an hour?
Very good. I expect it every week now.
No, it's not happening. And Eckes, I'm not watching any college players this year either. I spent all that time studying all that crap last year. I spent hours and hours and hours, and they didn't draft a single one of the guys I wanted them to. So I'm not doing it this year. I'll look at them after they draft them, but not before.
You know what we will do? We'll do a review of the 2020 team and look at the current roster, and we will give you our starting lineups for the Packers offense and defense in one of our upcoming Friday shows. Maybe this week, maybe next week. Not sure. We'll see. Catch you soon. Hafeman Bros channel. Stay safe. Be well. Got anything, Ben?
No.
All right. See you. Peace out.
Aaron Jones.